can we get this out and just have a quick look?
Yeah.
So, just refresh my memory. I've got a warning light on the dash for low fuel. This will do that, won't it?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me tell you what's in there.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, we package it this way because it fits into what Royal Mail call large letter.
Yeah.
So it's very strange packaging. Everything else we do in these nice pretty plastic packets.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thickness of the plastic means it's too thick.
Fat for the post office.
Yeah. So we came up with this. We cut these cardboard sleeves out on a laser, so that we can keep it all in line.
Yeah.
So that's the unit itself, with its 4 buttons inside, and then inside the packaging, I'll open this one up because this is the one you're having. So you don't mind if I open it?
No, you carry on. Yeah.
Right. There's a little box that says small parts attached. There we go. It's only stapled. So inside here comes the connection cable.
Yeah.
Which plugs onto the Wizard.
And that'll only go one way, won't it?
It'll only go on one way. There's a slot.
Key. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
key slot, so it only goes on one way. And also in there is, of course, the lid, which has got another copy of the notation switch buttons. Which it's got the screws, it's got a screwdriver, and it's got an adjustable resistor, and then 6 pages of instructions.
Right.
And links, of course, to the videos that we talked about earlier.
The videos are more helpful than the instructions, aren't they? Yeah.
But there's a lot of videos, and it's a lot to go through. But basically, you've got the black wire's ground, the red wire is power, and that's 12 volts, not the stabilised 12 volts that you might find at the instruments, but a proper 12 volt supply. Yeah. And then you've got the green wire, which goes to the sender.
Right.
That can be a temperature or a fuel sender, either or.
Okay.
You've got the blue wire, which goes to where that green wire used to connect to. So, in other words, the connection on the gauge that used to go to the sender.
Yeah.
Is the blue wire.
Right.
Then you've got the white wire, which is an auxiliary output. You can set the way these extra outputs operate is they operate on the needle position. Not on the sender position, but after any damping or anything has taken place.
Right.
So the auxiliary one can be flipped. It can come on as your fuel goes down, or it can go off as the fuel goes down.
Yeah.
That's been used on some rally cars to indicate half full tank.
Okay.
And they mount the LED on the parcel shelf at the back. So when they're doing a
so
stage...
that's going to be useful because I've got a light on the dashboard, but I've got no connection on the sender.
Right. Well, the other one
that'll sort it out, won't it?
Yeah. Well, this orange one is your normal low fuel warning.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that was an extra one.
Right.
Independently calibratable. The orange one has got 2 points. You can have it come on steady.
Yeah. And
then flashing at a different point.
Right.
So you can have a low fuel and a very low fuel.
Okay.
And they connect to the same lamp. And these connections ground to make them operate.
Right.
So you have power going to your lamp, and then this connects to the other side of the lamp. And when your fuel gets down to your calibration point, it will ground the bulb and turn it on.
Yeah.
And then when it gets down to the second calibration point, it will intermittently ground it, so the lamp will flash.
So am I better off using that wire?
Yeah, for your low fuel, the orange one.
So it'll come on, and then when it gets really low, it flashes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then the yellow one is if you've got, I don't suppose on your car you've got things like data loggers and things like that, but that has got a 0 to 5 volt output that can be recorded or used for telemetry and so forth on sports cars and so on.
Okay.
And all the programming is done by pressing these.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, with a pencil.
For example, to set the position of the needle for an empty tank, you would press the D button. That's this one. A little LED there will flash once, and then you use the A and B buttons to move the needle up and down. So
trying to remember this then. So I have to set the needle independently of the sender.
Absolutely, yeah. The setting of the gauge just records 5 numbers in the memory. A different number for each of the 5 positions of the needle.
Okay.
And setting the sender sets 5 numbers in the memory, and that there's a disconnect. The only time they ever relate to each other is when the program's running and doing its interpolation between the different values.
Okay. So I've got another sort of question for you. I'm going to do all this on the bench. I've got the tank out and I've got the gauge out, so I can do it as a testing. And I was going to fill the tank with water and keep filling it up to half, quarter, half, and whatever. So that'll take care of that. But
I mean, there's one thing I would jump in with there. What I would do is don't try and set the gauge up that way.
Right.
Set the wizard up that way. Record the resistances with a multimeter.
Right.
Okay, so what you're going to do is, let me grab a bit of paper. Well, oh dear, it's too low down. Okay, so what you're going to do is, with a multimeter.
Yeah. Where does that gauge plug it in? That resistance.
Well, I'm going to come to that.
Oh, okay.
You're jumping the gun here. So set your meter to ohms.
Yeah, that's the Amiga thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what you'll do is you'll fill up your tank. Start with empty, and you'll write down empty equals, and let's say it's 10 ohms.
Yeah.
Write it down, and then you can do the same for quarter, half, 3/4, and full.
Right.
So you've got empty, quarter, half, 3/4, full.
And those are the 4 readings that the gauge sorts out, isn't it?
Yeah. So that might be 50, 100, 150, 220, or something like that.
Right.
So you've got those resistances. And the reason I say that is because if you make a mistake entering the values, doing it this way, you won't have to ever. The voice is a bit high. This is a gauge wizard.
Oh yeah, I've watched these before. It's been a year or two ago. I've had 2 of you before.
But that page is a useful one because.
And who's that?
That's on. It's actually on the instructions.
It's on there, right?
And it's the very last thing, I think. Oh no, is it? Where is it? Here's your instructions. There we are. It's that link. At the bottom there.
I'll have a look at that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've measured the sender and it's given me these values.
Yeah.
And then I set this to...
Using the multimeter, you set the resistance of this
to
the same values you recorded.
Yeah.
And then use that as the
so
input to the wizard.
When I'm setting up the wizard, do I start it?
It doesn't matter in any order.
So if I set that to 220...
Yeah.
What would...
You set it to 220, and then your wizard's got your... Let's assume your power and your ground are connected.
And the wizard thinks that's the tank.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So the green wire, which is the one from the sender, you would connect to one pin.
Right.
And the other pin you connect to ground.
Okay. And that stays on that, and then you just fiddle with that to change.
And then you just press the buttons.
And then when I want to set the gauge to half, I just put in 100, change that to 100.
Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, you alter that to 100, and then you press
whatever.
I'm trying to think what half is. So A1 is empty, A2 is quarter,
right.
A3 is half. So you should press button A, let it flash 3 times, take your finger off, and it's done.
Yeah, gotcha.
But the reason for that is that if you've got a tank on the bench, it's easy. But if you've got a car that takes 60 litres, you don't want to be filling 60 litres of petrol in the tank, and more than once.
No.
And the other thing is, of course, if your wizard goes wrong, you've got those values written down. We can pre-program it for you.
Oh, right, okay.
Or if you've got somebody else with the same car, you can say, Chris, I've got somebody with exactly the same car, exactly the same sender. Can you pre-program one for us? And
just remind me on this. I've got one of the old yellow ones with different ports for these wires. I've got 3 different ports, haven't I?
On
my multimeter.
Okay.
I've got a common, and I've got something else, and I've got something else. Do you remember where they go?
I'm not sure if I've got one.
I've got an old-fashioned one.
I've got loads.
Cheap one.
So this one's got 4.
Usually yellow, aren't they?
This one's got 4. Oh, I haven't got a yellow one.
Right. Okay.
This is it's common.
Common
and ohms. It should show an ohm symbol by it.
Right, common and ohms. All right.
Yeah, common and ohms.
Gotcha. Okay, fine.
You can do it with one of these meters. We like these because they're particularly good at showing voltages that are changing.
Right.
Whereas digital multimeters are not very good at that at all.
Okay. Right. Good. I think that's it. I'll be on the phone anyway if it goes wrong.
We're bringing out a version 5 soon, which has got 2 changes.
Oh, hold on.
The output and extra protection on the input.
Right.
From static.
Right.
Once it's installed in a car, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you happen to be a very staticky person and touch the wires, like the green wire, when you've got a charge on you, and you know, like you run your hand down the banisters or something, it can damage the transistor.
Right.
So we've added some protection in for those.
Okay. Good.
I'll put all your bits together.
Thank you.